Hi everyone. We are going to make another sort of abstract landscape again. And I'm going to use my watercolors, but as always, feel free to adapt your artwork to the materials that you have. So you can use color pencils, watercolors, maybe you have some watercolor markers or brush pens. Feel free to switch it up. I'm going to aim to go for really soft colors this time. So I'm going to just mix up maybe a little bit of green. So there we go, maybe a little bit of blue. You can see I'm not very good with keeping my colors separate. So there we go, I want it to be a little bit more green. So I've got this sort of teal color, but I'm going to water that down. I want it to be quite a soft, watery mix. And with that soft, watery mix, I'm going to add some marks to my paper. So I'm going to dive straight in there. So, and I'm just adding lines. So, there we go. So this is the first one, and you can see I'm using my brush to create thicker or thinner lines. And this is a really great little exercise to practice your brush control and just to get to know different ways of using your watercolor brush. So you can see my paper is stained a little bit, and that's okay. That is just life sometimes. And what I teach in my classes is very much to let go of perfectionism. So I want you to learn that it's okay for things to sometimes work out a little bit different from what you expected. So mixing up a little bit of purple here. So maybe a little bit more blue in there. So a little bit of white, I want that color to be a little bit softer, and then again with some water, you can see I'm being quite careful not to mix it up with the green. So I'm going to add a bit of purple to these lines as well. So there we go, and here and there I can let it blur in together. So I'm just adding in some marks sort of in between. And I do not have a plan with this, so to say. I'm just following what feels right in the moment. So you can use your brush to create thicker or thinner marks. You'll notice that if you press down on your brush, that the texture is going to be a little bit different from when you just let it sort of lift, when you let it lift really softly. So there we go. Am I missing any color in this? Maybe a little bit of yellow. So there we go. So you can see I'm using quite soft colors. Just see what happens. I quite like mixing up my colors a little bit random sometimes and let the colors mix up a little bit, but I'm doing it very gently. So there we go. Am I happy with the colors? Is this enough? Maybe a little bit more dark green. So just a few splashes. You can always also add a few splashes to your paper like this. So I love tapping a bit of watercolors on my finger and sort of to add some splashes to the paper. I'm going to let this dry. So I'm going to go away for a few minutes, just let it dry, and you can also use a hairdryer to dry it. I'm going to let it dry and I'll come back in a few minutes and then ready to start adding our second layer. So I am back. I just went to make a cup of tea and now I'm back and everything has dried really lovely. I'm going to put away my watercolor paints, and you can see my tape comes loose a little bit. And that's alright, I don't really need the tape, it's just there for creating nice crisp edges, but I have passed the painting stage, so that is alright. And I'm going to start adding some fine lines in pen over this painting. And I'm just going to have a little bit of fun with this. So you can see I have a few different fine liners here. You can join in using other pens as well. You can join in with color pencil, pen, fine liner, marker, even a ballpoint pen is absolutely fine. And we're just going to add lots of little details to this artwork. So I'm going to start here in the corner. You see, this is all perfectly dry. I'm going to start in the corner and maybe just start with a line. So there we go. I need to start somewhere. There we go. And I'm just going to see how I can add like doodles and marks to this little drawing. So, and I just absolutely love these shapes that have been created. So here and there I'm tracing the shape, or I might add in a little bit extra. So I can, for example, add in circles. Same. There we go. I know my hand blocks the picture a little bit. So we're just going to go over this and add in some marks in black here and there. And I always think that this really feels like a bit of a landscape. I know it's not really, it's an abstract picture, it's not really a landscape, but I always feel like it has that sort of landscape vibe to me. That's what I'm seeing in it, but it can be different for you or for anyone else. People see different things in different pictures. So I really like adding in some lines here. And not two of these pictures are going to look the same. They're all going to be different. Yours is going to look different from mine. And if I would do the same picture twice, it would look completely different as well. Because our watercolor will have dried up differently. And yeah, every time you do an abstract picture like this, it will be unique, which I love about it. So maybe here I will add some circles. So, there we go. Oop. So I'm using quite a fine pen. This one is an 0.3 size. I can go much, much finer than this. But I can also go, I have much thicker pens as well. So this is a sort of medium-sized fine liner. So you can see my lines are quite a consistent width. And they are quite narrow. So just tracing a line from one side to the other always works really well. Maybe here. For me, just lines and circles are a really good place to start. But follow your own imagination. You might have some other marks or lines that you want to add, and they can be different from mine, and that's absolutely fine. Everyone's artwork is going to look unique. And you might have different shapes that you feel fit in well with your artwork. So you can fill in the gaps with some circles. You can add these sort of almost like puddle marks, circles. We can add some like zigzag lines. See, there we go. There's no pressure. It's all about just creating texture and marks that feel good to you. I think this starts to look really nice already. So I always see a little bit of a landscape in this, which I already said before. This is what I'm noticing, but it's quite different. Yeah, it is abstract, so you might be able to see some other things in here, which I think is just lovely. So there might be some areas that you want to color in as well. So I could use a slightly bigger pen for the areas I want to color in. Actually, I might do that. I might switch to a slightly larger pen. So this is a size 1. It's a little bit bigger, so a little bit quicker to add extra marks. So, and again, I know that this is a bit of a theme, but I feel like this would make a really lovely card for someone. Like if you'd go to a wedding or there's a birthday and you need to have a card, you want to give something personalized, I think something like this would work lovely. You could add some writing, some letters here and there as well. So, there we go. Should we do a few more? Maybe some of these lines could be a little bit thicker. So, I think I'm going to say this is finished. So let's remove the tape. And let's see what this looks like. I love a tape peel. Like, look how nice and crisp that edge is. So, there we go. So I think that this looks very cute. It's a really simple picture. You can join in without any art experience, any drawing experience. And yeah, I think it just looks lovely. So thank you so much for joining in. If you have any questions about art materials, remember that there's a whole list on my website with links to all my favorite art materials. And if you want to paint more with me, remember to check out my community. We paint on Zoom every Thursday evening. And I will see you soon for another art session.